In today's video, we're going to be going over contact segments. It's important to know the difference between a contact list and a contact segment. A contact list is essentially audiences and map, and it's where people are going to be entering the list and leaving the list depending on the queries that you have chose. And those lists are going to be fully tracked, whereas a segment list is going to be a saved query for reuse across all platforms. Okay. When I say that a context segment is a saved query, it means that you're going to be able to reference this context segment query in our audience builders, in our decision trees, and it's all going to be within the automation as well. Okay, some of the benefits of having a context segment definition is that we may have a very complex query that's going to be defining a specific segment. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into our contact, and then we're going to go into contact segments. I'm going to go ahead and create a new contact segment, and I'm going to go ahead and call this contact segment pets allowed. Okay. In this segment, I want to go ahead and segment the people who have shown an interest somehow viewing that they want a pet in the community that they will be moving into, or maybe that's just one of their main requirements is, being able to bring in a pet. Okay, so let's say that my very first one, this is going to be the query. So let's say that we want to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and try and isolate the people that have a very specific interest in expressing their interest in pets allowed. So say that they go ahead and visit a URL, page visit URL. Okay, and let's say that the page visit URL, let's say that it has something about pets. Okay, let's say that I want to go ahead and create another group. And in this one, I want to go ahead and say that in a phone call, one of the keywords that they talked about were pets. Okay. And so in my next group, let's say that I want to go ahead and segment them. I went to a website, and this had to do with pets. And I'll go ahead and save that. And this will be my segmented list that they had an interest in pets. So let's say that another way that you're going to be able to use this list is when you go to all contact, and I have an existing contact segment on here, I'm going to go ahead and look for my contact segment of pets allowed. It's going to be useful for my existing segments that are defined for pets allowed to look through all the history of the contacts that I have in my database. If I filtered using my pets allowed, I can create a temporary segment that we can do a quick query on the database to find some specific behavior. We're also going to be able to reference this. Let's say that in my automations and on my in my campaign, say that in my drip campaign, my workflow, I've created a email drip campaign that is going to go ahead and focus a different direction depending on if they have an interest in pets. So let's say that, once I use this as my trigger is going to be, a new or exist, my user trigger is going to be a status change. Okay, I want to go ahead and send them an email. When I go in and send the email, let's say that I want to go ahead and take the people out. And let's say that after their status changes, I want to go ahead and email them. Well, for the people who I sent out an email, maybe I want to go ahead and segment out the people depending on the email that they received. So let's say that depending on once they go ahead and the user is triggered, I'm going to go in and send out an email. Okay. After I send out the welcome email, for those people who are interested in a pet, I want to go ahead and send them a different path. For everyone else who is not interested in in Pets Allowed, we're going to assume that for the people who are not interested in pets, we're going to go ahead and assume the opposite. So we're going to go ahead and send them in a different path. Once my user is triggered, I'm going to go ahead and send in a welcome email. The welcome email, everyone's going to go ahead and get that. And after that welcome email, if they are interested in pets, I want them to I'm going to go ahead and send them an email regarding the welcoming of our pets, assuming that everyone else who's not interested is going to go in a different direction. Okay. So you can see that this is going to turn red, and then depending on the decision that I have chosen here, and then we can continue our flow into here. Whereas all of our, pet lovers, they can be added to, and then for our pet lovers, we can go ahead and maybe send them a text message. Okay. This is just segmenting out. And once again, it's a saved list of people who are interested in pets, and we're keeping them in a separate path because that is what interests them. Okay, so with another way that we can go ahead and use this segmented contact list is I'm going to go ahead and go into one of my published pages, and I want to make sure that this published page So another way that I can go ahead and use my contact segment list is that I'm going to go into my published page and then make sure that um, in my published page, okay, another way that I'm going to go ahead and use this contact segment list is that with an email that I have, say that it's going to be part of my email campaign. It's not going to be part of my drip where I can create a decision block to go ahead and segment out those people. I want to go ahead and another way that I can go ahead and use my contact segment list is that when I do create an email, let's say that it's not going to be part of my drip campaign, but I want to go ahead and create it as an email template. I can go ahead and make sure that this email is only segmented um, for my contact list. Okay, and then another way that I'm going to go ahead and use my contact segment list is going to be my dynamic content block. So I'm going to be able to create a content block that brings in the people who are interested in having pets allowed. We're going to be able to include them onto here. So we're going to be able to create an alternate version of pets allowed. Okay, and then with the advanced targeting, I'm going to go ahead and put segment equals my pets allowed. This can also be used within our pop-ups so that people who are interested in pets receive the pop-up, or vice versa, that they do not receive the pop-up. Okay. And once again, it is just important that, and once again, it is important that you understand that a contact segment is a saved query for reuse across different platforms to not let somebody view it if they have pets allowed in their profile, whereas a contact list are going to be audiences where people enter and leave the list. And that concludes our lesson on contact segment. Thank you.